What is up, guys? Welcome back. I'm Charles, mXrevival, mXrevival.com, and today we are going to be removing casting flash. Alright, so what is casting flash? Casting flash is basically the material that's left behind on a part, say a linkage or a fork lug or a master cylinder, that once the part is cast and removed from whatever process it's cast in, you end up with what looks like a line like this here. Now, there's nothing particularly wrong with casting flash, but something to really next level your builds is to remove the casting flash. Give yourself more of a factory look on your bike builds. And this is actually the first time I've dove into trying this. I've always wanted to try it. And so having said that, I've gotten into what we need to get the job done, how to do the job, what we need to do before we start, and finally, how to clean the part and prep it for coatings. So as you just saw a few seconds ago, I still need to do the linkage. There are actually several components on the bike that I need to do. This is Project Disruptor Our YZ300 Build. Alternatively, we have a lower fork lug that I've already done, where there used to be a line in the rear here. It is no longer there. There used to be also a line going up the center and the front of this cast piece. It's no longer there. And in general, this thing was just beat to hell from rocks and hitting whatever while being used. And it was really just a disgusting looking piece. It was not fit to go on a new bike build. And so that's kind of what started this whole thing. In fact, I shaved this entire lower end of the fork lug off because it had such severe rock damage. These fork lugs are done, they've been cleaned, they're ready to be coated, and today I'm going to show you how I got there. Before we start, we're going to go ahead and go over some of the tools and things you're going to need to get this done. It's really quite simple. It's more about technique, I've learned, and that is not going too hard on a part, not cutting too deep, not using abrasives that are just too hard on the part, as they are only aluminum. But on the flip side of that same coin, that's what makes them so easy to work with and so fun, because you get results pretty fast. So after today, you'll know what you need, you'll know how to get the job done, and it's really going to come down to practice, just like anything we get good at. Towards the end of this video, I have some pretty exciting things to show you guys regarding Project Disruptor. I want to showcase some of our awesome sponsors. Stay tuned for that. So, what do we need on today's journey? I'm going to strongly, first and foremost, recommend some gloves. These are a big deal. If these things can take away aluminum, imagine what it can do to your skin. You're going to be working very closely to your hands with some sort of rotary tool, so gloves are strongly recommended. Of course, when you're cutting, grinding, sending filings of metal into the air, safety glasses are huge. I'm actually also going to wear just a basic dust mask, something a little bit better than a nuisance mask, because you're going to be breathing this stuff. Obviously that's not good. You don't want this stuff entering your lungs. So safety glasses, gloves, a particulate mask of some kind. It doesn't have to be elaborate or a respirator or anything crazy like that. As far as tools go, I'm using a couple different air tools. I have a 90-degree die grinder here. I have another one here, and the difference between the two is the RPM. One of these rotates much more slowly than the other, and that is good because you don't want to cut too fast in certain situations. So these have both come in very handy depending on where on the part I'm working. And the star, no doubt, of today's show are these surface conditioning pads. These are sort of a coarse, medium, and fine conditioning pad. I will link these in the description below. You can get these at Harbor Freight. They're super cheap. Anybody can use these. You don't necessarily need right angle grinders. You can get a cheap Dremel. What's great about these is they interchange very quickly. They have a very coarse plastic thread on them, as you can see here, and so this makes changing them very simple. Unscrew and screw another one in. Done, ready to use. So that's really nice. I'm going to start with the linkage, as I've already done the fork lugs for the most part. As you can see, this part is also rather filthy. I have not washed it yet, so I'm going to degunk it with a wire wheel real quick, kind of get it more suitable for the conditioning pads. I don't want to clog them up with crap and ruin them or contaminate parts as I go. And once we've removed all the flash from this part, we're going to go ahead and throw it in the bead blasting cabinet. This will give the part a uniform finish, make it look as though you were never there in the first place, and also get it ready for the acetone bath, which is the last step before actually coating the part. Let's burn off some of this flash. So as you can see, this part not only has the casting flash that we're going to be working on, but it also has some pretty good gouging from the carburetor hoses rubbing against this unit when the suspension is working. So I'm going to try and smooth some of this out. No one's really going to see it when the bike is done, and that isn't really an excuse to leave it, but the main reason I would is because this is a structural piece. You only want to take so much material away before you make it more susceptible to breaking while used, and as we all know, trip to the hospital when you're trying to have fun on your dirt bike is just about the worst way to end your day. So having said that, I'll do what I can. Wire wheel is another great way to get some of the factory coating off of this linkage. As you can see, it has sort of a paint on it or something like that. Anyhow, if you don't have a blast cabinet, you could use the wire wheel. You're not going to want to coat over the old stuff. So I'm starting with the high RPM die grinder and the most abrasive wheel because I want to start cutting a good deal of material off to start. It's going to leave sort of a coarse finish, so I'm going to need to step down to the less abrasive or medium wheel, followed by the most gentle wheel before I bead blast the part. You're going to want to keep the tool moving and not let it sit in one spot too long. You do not want to create any flat spots or any inconsistencies that would require you to run the part harder in order to make them go away. As you can see, the most abrasive pad cuts quite quickly. I'm already able to step down to the medium grit or even the most gentle of the pads. Experiment with different hand pressures, as you will notice that the material will cut faster or slower depending on this, and above all, take your time and just have fun doing this. I almost forgot to take a stab at the portion of the linkage where the carburetor hoses have dug into. I will move back to the most abrasive wheel to start, followed by scaling down to the lightest pad. Okay, so as you guys can see, we went from coarse to medium to the lightest abrasive wheel. We did a pretty bitchin' job. Pretty much all those marks are gone from the carburetor hoses, and I am not a professional. Anybody can do this. I'm just practicing, taking my time, having fun. The next step in this process, we gotta head over to the blast cabinet so we can get this part looking like this part, and then we can dip it in acetone, get it clean, and we can go ahead and coat it. Alright, we made it to the blast cabinet. Now, most guys will use an aluminum oxide 120 grit to prep their part before coating it. In my case, I'm just using glass bead. It's been fine so far. If you have something like that, I wouldn't be too worried about it. Gotta go ahead and blast this part. I wish I could set the camera up high enough to look in so you could see it, but unfortunately I can't. Maybe I'll make like some sort of a clear box I can throw in there with parts in the future and you can get like a bird's eye view of it. But for now, let's blast this part and get it back out. As you can see, we have a more uniform finish on the part, save for where we haven't gone yet over here, but everything here that was a little more shiny has now been dulled up a little bit. You can sort of still see some indents from where the hoses were. At this point, you can either go back to the bench and dig a little deeper on this part, or you can proceed however you want. In this case, that's good enough for me. More visible areas like the fork lugs, I'll go a little further, I'll take a little more time. I might go back to the abrasive wheels, clean it up a little more, blast it again. You can do this as many times as you need to, and if you are seeking perfection, you will eventually get it. Also, here's a shot of where we first started. Obviously, there is some flash left over here on the ends, but as you can see in the center here, just from the abrasive conditioning wheels, looking a heck of a lot better. That is, of course, versus the areas we have not gone at all. That is what it used to look like on the other side. So this piece is going to turn out great. The fork lugs are going to turn out great, and I am not at all bummed out by this. Now that that's all done and you've got your part looking more like this, very nice in other words, you are pretty much ready for the acetone bath followed by the coatings. Let's take a look at some of the pieces that are finished, all coated, and then let's get into some sponsorship parts. So the overall look we're going for with these parts that we're prepping to get coated will be this right here. I'm gonna go ahead and link the video to this, show you how this is done. These parts all started out super crusty like the linkage. They've been bead blasted, acetone dipped, coated, and allowed to cure for 14 days. Little front master cylinder action. Switched up the color with a little stainless steel gray. I went a little bit crazy with this stuff. I've even gone ahead and coated the adjuster on the clutch perch. Now I've got some really exciting stuff slated for this build. I still need to go ahead, blast, and coat the cylinder. But in the meantime, look at this thing. Check out this awesome custom head by Fathead Racing. Fathead Racing or Luke's Racing, check him out. This is an amazing piece. He will custom engrave a cylinder head for you. Just about any two-stroke. Have a CR500 prototype in production, as well as a KX500 if I remember correctly. Just a really nice looking piece. He has options for the head studs and nuts as well. These cylinder heads come with interchangeable domes on the inside, which allows you to change the power profile of your bike. You pop the head off, pop a new insert in. Maybe you wanted a little more bottom end. Maybe you wanted something a little more suitable for trail riding or motocross. Easy fix. Pop a new insert in and you're good to go. I have to give another huge shout to Millennium Technologies. This is actually one of their brand new, full bolt-on, no case relief required YZ300 jugs. Send you a piston, a cylinder, slap it on your YZ250, you now have a YZ300 and you are ready to go eat. You can send your cylinder in for an overbore, or you can buy units that they have on the shelf. Either way, you're gonna get a YZ300 jug back, all the gaskets you need. And at that point, you just need to bolt everything on and go have some fun. In addition to that, they also offer replate service, and as you can see, their work speaks for itself. Beautiful brand new cylinder. This thing has been ported, and if you're not familiar with case relief, basically what that is when you do an overbore on your bike, this part here in front where it mates down into the lower cases, sometimes the cases need to be ground or clearanced for this here. In the case of this 300 kit, bolt on and go, Millennium Technologies. Thank you guys very much. This is an awesome addition to Project Disruptor. We had planned on being a YZ250 to start. This came about, stoked to try it. They also did a great job cleaning up the cylinder on the outside. And let's move on to some more goodies. Another killer product that came our way, the Buell bar from Steel Horse Innovations. This is really slick actually. Props to you guys for dreaming this up. Basically, this is the main pin that goes through your swing arm and frame and through your engine. This is the pivot point for the rear swing arm. And what this Buell bar allows you to do is, right here there's a Zerk fitting. These sleeves go inside of your swing arm bearings, and you're actually able to fill this with grease with a grease gun. This sends grease through the pin and into the bearings at the pivot points. Very clever idea. It's a super nice looking piece. It looks a lot better than the factory unit, so not only are you having to tear your bike down less for grease in that area, but it also looks better. Thank you, Steel Horse. We really appreciate the contribution to the YZ300. Now I got a few really fancy pieces for you guys. My man Chris up in Canada, Legacy Carbon, has come up with all new parts for the YZ250 and several other bikes. Damn, this carbon fiber is so tight. It's a little bit different than your traditional carbon fiber look. Here's one of those. Chris came up with a custom discard for the wheels we sell on mXrevival.com, the SM Pro Platinums. This is their proprietary spacer. Chris, thank you for the extra hard work on making that happen. Now guys have more options for discards. Check that out. You got the stainless steel gray against this particular type of carbon fiber, sort of a light and dark mixture. I don't know much about carbon fiber, but I know this looks amazing. In addition to the front discard, we also have a matching rear discard. I've been told there's more coming from Canada for this bike. We're gonna have to wait and see, but in the meantime, Legacy, you just knocked this right out of the park. Check out these fork guards. These are for the 2008 and up style Yamaha forks. So if you have the older style, this bolt pattern here isn't going to work, but I know Chris has been known to make a few custom pieces. So maybe if you contact Legacy and let them know mXrevival said he could make you something special, maybe he will. As for the rest of Project Disruptor, current state of things here, we have broken down suspension components. We need to find a good anodizer for these. These were broken down by Ride JBI in Southern California. JB's out in Marietta, does amazing work. Check him out. Almost forgot to show you guys the frame. This is the stainless steel gray that I've been using. Also color matched to the engine mounts here. The entire engine will be this color. All the bolts black. I will also link that video at the end of this one. Frame came out so good. This whole bike is going to be a little bit nutty. So I went ahead and finished deflashing the linkage. It came out great as well. Went ahead and blasted it, prepped it with the acetone, shot it with the stainless steel gray. It's also matched to the frame. And as you can see, no more casting flash. We've got goodies from Electron, No Toil, Bolt Motorcycle Hardware, Watson Synthetics, a full line of AMSoil chemicals. Really excited to get this bike going again. Christmas and New Year's and budgets and blah, blah, blah. Really screwed things up for a while, but we're back on track. We got YZ300 Project Disruptor. We got the Dirt Bike Magazine builds, CR250 and 500. That's all very exciting stuff. You might say I'm living the dream. Get to work with amazing people, build great relationships, blossoming YouTube channel. Thanks to you guys. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, think about subscribing. Drop me a like. Don't forget to check out all of the guys I linked in the comment section below. They're turning out amazing work. They've been extremely gracious in offering their sponsorship towards Project Disruptor and mXrevival. If you guys have any questions for me, drop them below as well. I hope you're having a great week, and I will talk to you soon.